Stardew Valley is an amazing game. After 8 years, it is still in Steam's top 5. I have over 200 hours playing it. Wait, that can't be right. And, on top of it all, it was made by one dude. But I do think that after a while, you can see that the game is, well, cheating a little bit. Hello everybody, I'm Gaba, and today I want to talk about Stardew Valley. How the game grabs our attention and how it ends up being a bittersweet experience. I doubt there are many people that are watching this and don't know it already, but Stardew Valley is a 2016 game inspired by older farming simulators like Harvest Moon, where the player moves through a farm in a small village and has to restore and make the farm thrive. Plant crops, take care of animals, explore the mines for resources, and make friends with the villagers. On the surface, it is a cozy farming game, but it actually has a terrific game design. The game has 3 pillars. First, you always have an objective to work on. Objectives can go from small, like cleaning the farm or planting the first crop, to gigantic, like completing the community center or getting to the end of the school mines. There is always something to do. Second, it has a massive amount of content. Seeds have different yields and time to harvest, so there's plenty of novelty for experimenting. The game also have variable rewards in form of the minerals you can find in the mines and the fishes you can fish. Not enough content for you? How about a village full of NPCs with their own likes and dislikes, schedules and unique events? It is a lot. Third, time, or better, the lack of it. The game has a day-night cycle that forces you to sleep and punishes you if you don't sleep at your bed. Not only that, but it has objectives that can only be accomplished at certain days, like birthdays, and others that can only be done at certain seasons. This gives the game a sense of urgency and a loop that grounds us and forces us to break the tasks ahead. This contrast of always having a lot of options as to what to do within a limited schedule kicks our brain into optimization mode, which is always a delight. Learning what combination of settings will make us progress faster through objectives is one of, if not the main appeal of the game. Because of this finely designed structure, Stardew Valley is an incredibly hard game to put down, especially once you've played a bit, and that ends up highlighting one of the game's main problems. But I'm getting ahead of myself. These series of objectives with different difficulties and paths to accomplish that are always within reach are efficient in forming habits on players, with even some claiming that it's therapeutic, and countless players claiming they want to play only one extra in-game day and end up playing for hours. However, for me there's always a point where this structure starts failing. Smaller objectives like quests get pointless as their rewards aren't meaningful. Bigger objectives get completed or abandoned. NPCs start to feel stale and borderline annoying. But for me, the worst of it all is when you start to realize that the game you've been playing for all this time is nothing but a sequence of chores. Just like washing the dishes or taking out the trash, you start to realize that what you're doing is not fun by itself. Farming is mind-numbingly boring. I actually slept a couple of times while playing the game. With mining you depend on the mood of the gods, and also it's pretty trivial when you get the bombs. Fishing, which may be the least offender here, but still lacking. And combat in my opinion is the worst aspect of the game. You may be asking, isn't Stardew Valley supposed to be just a chill game where there are no worries? A game to forget how life is?
Yes, but actually no.
What you really want, the good stuff, is a game that puts you in a state of flow. Someday I hope to make a video about it. But flow is basically when the challenge is just right. And unfortunately, Stardew Valley doesn't challenge you at all mechanically. Each player will have a different threshold, of course, but I think that for the majority of players, the daily actions in the game won't be enough. especially after completing the community center, which signals the later stages of the game. With an experienced player without the objectives to be their carrot, the boringness of the game starts to show. And to add insult to injury, now is the time that the player is probably really hooked, and all the habitual behavior that I highlighted earlier keeps working for a good while until the player reaches the same conclusion. Why the heck am I playing this? And that's why Stardew Valley tricks you. It has shallow mechanics, but distracts you with a good objective structure. A heaping amount of content, all beautifully encapsulated in time-constrained loops. Well, that doesn't seem that bad, does it? That's because it isn't. As I said, the game is awesome, and people already fixed this problem by using the MSG of gaming industry, mods. But I do think that tweaking the mechanics could elevate the game a whole lot. These changes, however, are easier said than done. So I'd like to propose an exercise of what we'd like to see in some newer farming games, or maybe even a sequel. If you have any ideas, I'd love to see them in the comments. Number 1. Make things harder to perfect. The idea here is to add a bit of complexity in the results of your actions so that you can make mechanics to interact with this complexity and achieve perfect results. For instance, imagine if crops had more stats like juiciness, flavor, size, and more. And to achieve perfection, you had to decipher how much water you have to add, how much you have to plow the land, or what are the nutrients in the soil. Even if each of these actions had simple minigames like reloading Gears of War, that would, in itself, add a huge number of objectives and opportunities for expression, with mechanics that you can master and use that skill to make new experiments. For example, let's say you want to learn how to make the best pumpkin. Well, for that you might have to plow the land just right, add not too much water, and make sure you have the correct and enough fertilizers while the plant is growing. Number 2. Add more synergy. There are glimpses of this already in Stardew Valley. For example, the bee houses. They produce honey of different variety when placed close to flowers. This is great because it's not punitive, meaning you just earn less by not doing it. It is an interaction between where you place the bee house and what you plant, and it uses affordance brilliantly. It makes sense that the honey changes based on the flowers around it, and it enhances the immersion of the game and makes the game seem more alive. Could further this example by asking what impact do bees have on plants? Or maybe what if bees reacted to other things like minerals and other animals? To keep asking these questions for other produce, the game would grow exponentially. Number 3. NPCs that are more alive. Now this is a classic point of criticism by the player base. The NPCs are scripted, and the gifting system is, well, easily mastered. I do think this is harder to improve than most people give credit for, and the NPCs in Stardew Valley are undeniably pretty charming. But adding a dash of The Sims and make them have more aspirations, relationships, and needs would be amazing. I know AI is a hot topic these days, especially in the gaming industry, but I do think there are some incredible things that it could achieve. Just remember to train them responsibly. And that's it, people. Stardew Valley is an awesome game with a wonderful vibe that is an inspiration to any game developer and has helped people get their lives together. A game I'll always think fondly about, despite my hopefully constructive criticisms. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to subscribe. Also, I made a video about what makes us all so hyped for games. Go check it out. I think you might like it. Falou!